Na Uniaselv, sua história já começa com uma conquista. Aqui, sua nota no Enem vale bolsa de até 100%. Quanto maior sua nota, maior sua bolsa. Acesse enem.uniaselv.com.br, faça a simulação da sua bolsa e dê o primeiro passo em direção ao seu futuro. Venha construir sua história no EAD Nota Máxima no MEC, com tutor exclusivo por turma. Venha pra
Uniaselv.
Mudando de assunto, saindo de política, indo para o caso Marielle. Isso porque o chefe da Polícia Federal, Andrei, disse que esse caso está prestes a ser encerrado neste ano. A gente viu ontem que deve haver a delação premiada de Rony Lessa, essa delação que está tramitando no Superior Tribunal de Justiça. Falta a validação, a Polícia Federal propôs a delação premiada, a colaboração premiada, mas agora o Superior Tribunal de Justiça precisa validar essa delação. Aqui na matéria, a gente vê que como esse acordo de delação premiada está tramitando no STJ, isso indica que o mandante do crime
May the power of the dragon guide you.
Promoção Nestlé Viajar faz bem. Concorra a viagens incríveis todos os dias para conhecer o mundo com quem ama. Além de R$1 milhão ao final da promoção. Demais, né? Quanto mais produtos Nestlé comprar e cadastrar, mais chances de ganhar. Bora participar!
So you want to know how you should be putting in your stats to become the best gamer you can be? Well, good thing I'm here. Now, as always, please let me know down in the comments if I got anything wrong. I'm never wrong. The last thing I want to be doing is spreading misinformation, but I will say that I personally tested the majority of the topics that I'll be going over, so you should be good. And if you ever have any questions, you can always pop by my stream. Links down in the description along with my schedule. I think it's time to hop in. Oh yeah, and if you find this video helpful, feel free to hit that thumbs up button down at the bottom to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it. Maybe even hit the subscribe. Subscribe. Before we go over all the stats, I want to explain a few things. It's important. The first thing is the red numbers on the screen means nothing. Don't look at it. Don't look at it! There's also some words and terms I'm going to be using in this video, and I'd like to go over them so you know what the hell I'm talking about. The first one is hard cap. This means you cannot put any more points into that stat. So as you can see, I'm trying to raise my intelligence up past 99, and it won't let me click it anymore. Just to make this easy, the hard cap for every single stat you see on the screen right now is 99. Can't go higher, deal with it. The next one is soft cap. This one's a little bit more complicated. This refers to a breakpoint in a stat, like a certain number that when you hit it, you're going to see a change in the returns you get past it. In most cases, once you go past a soft cap, you'll get less of a return, but in some situations, you get more. I'll explain more in a little bit. Calm down. Just as a quick example, you'll see that I'm at 1402 health up at the top, and if I go to level 40 vigor, I'm going to go up to 1450, which is going to give me 48 health. But if I try to go from 40 to 41, my health only goes up by 26. So we would say a soft cap for vigor is 40. Got it? Good. And the last important term, very important. I like to call this the nice cap. This is a completely made up term. I just thought of it, but it's important nonetheless. I'll make this very quick and simple. The nice cap for every stat is 69. Yes, I am a child. Moving on to the numbers. We'll start off with vigor since we've been talking about vigor, right? What does vigor do? Well, if we click the help button and then go to explanation and then highlight it, it says it gives us HP and it also increases our fire resistance and immunity. Now, the main thing we want to talk about here is the HP. Now, as you saw, going from level 39 to 40 gave me a lot more HP than going from 40 to 41. But there's a bit more to it than that. Let's head on over to some spreadsheets. These spreadsheets are for my own personal testing. I saw the information on the Wikipedia, but I had to test it myself just to be 100% sure. And everything did line up. So as you can see, going from 10 all the way down to 40, the amount of health that it increases goes up every level. It just keeps going up. That's crazy, right? It keeps going up and then bam, it drops. As we said before, 40 is a soft cap, but I wanted to make sure that you understood that going up to that soft cap of 40 just gives you more increased health per point. Now, past 40, you hit a hard cutoff. And now instead of it going up, it starts going down, going from 26 all the way to 13 at 60 vigor. And then past 60 vigor, it cuts off again. So we can say for sure, 40 is the first soft cap of vigor. 60 is the second soft cap. But how many points do you want to put into it? Well, as you can guess, 40 is the minimum I would suggest putting into this. Health is incredibly important. People hit you in the face and it hurts. This is where you need to decide if you want to go higher. If you feel like you're up in the fray a lot, you're a melee character, you could consider going up past 40. I would say though, the hard cutoff is 60. Do not go past 60. It's just not worth it. I'm at 1900 health. Now I'm at 1906. No, just not worth it. And remember, the closer you get to 60, the worse the stat becomes. So personally for me, I'm going to be sticking around the 40 to 50 range, maybe around 45, but I'm also a spellcaster, so I'm mainly in the back. You do what you want, just don't go past 60. All right, so mine's up next. And what does mine do? Well, it claims it's the attribute to determine your FP or your mana, and it also affects focus. And just like with vigor, this says it affects your fire resistance and immunity. In general, when you put points into stats, all of these, you're going to see that your numbers are going to go up. Like if I'm putting things into strength, you're going to see that my magic and my fire and my lightning randomly go up. It's just like increasing your level. It increases your base defense power and immunity, robustness, all that fun stuff. So you don't really have to worry about that too much. Mainly focus on the first one. And again, the first one for mine is it gives us more mana or FP. But what's the soft cap? Do I put too much in? What do I do? Back to the spreadsheet. Now, if you look on the Wikipedia, since I already start with 15 mind as an astrologer, you're going to see that the plus increase is going to be 3 all the way up to level 20, even starting at level 1. But once you get to level 20, it goes up to 4, then 6. And then as you can see, it continually stays 6 all the way to 50. 50 is your second soft cap for mind. So from levels 1 to 19, you get plus 3, and then going to 20 gives 4. I guess it's just ramping up to the 6. And then all the way from 21 to 50, you're going to get plus 6. And then past that, you get even more for a little bit. Look at that. Wow. 51, you get 8, 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5. Uh-oh, it's going back down. What's happening? So mine is a little bit weird because you have a lot of soft caps, right? You have the first one being at level 20, boom, right there. Then you've got the second one being at level 50, boom, right there. Starts going up a little bit, and then it starts to drop again. So if you're going to be putting points into mind, you want a lot of mana or FP, you're a spellcaster, how many points do you want to put into it? It kind of just depends on what spells you like to use. So take note of how much FP each spell costs and try to get yourself on a nice rounded number. So for example, if I had a spell that cost 10 mana, I could cast that spell 22 times with my current 220 mana, whereas putting an additional point into it kind of doesn't make sense. But if you have multiple spells, it's kind of hard to decide. But I would suggest anywhere past the 20 mark and give yourself a little bit more so you can get that plus 6. If you really care about mana, obviously, and you find yourself being a huge mana battery, want to cast those big Kamehameha wave spells, I suggest maybe getting up to 55. That's when the drop starts happening again. For me personally, I like chilling around 35. I'm a heavy spellcaster. I've got like maybe 4 or 5 mana flasks bound to it, and I never am like, oh no, I'm out of mana and I don't have any flasks to do it. But if you find drinking annoying, then you can crank it up. Just don't go past 55. All right, we're building a character. Wow, look at us go. Next up is endurance. Endurance is going to increase our stamina, and it's going to increase our max equip load. Now, your max equip load dictates if you're either light, medium, heavy, or over encumbered, which means you can't roll at all. To be in the light state, you need to be 29.9% of your max load or lower. To be in the medium state, you need to be between 30% and 69.9% of your max equip load. 70% to 99.9%, you're now a heavy mode, which gives you fat roll. It's a really slow roll. And your stamina regen is penalized by 20%. And then going over 100%, you're over encumbered, you can't roll, you're dead. From my experience, light doesn't really do anything. And to get to light, you'd need a bunch of endurance, you need to do a bunch of talismans to get your max equip load up. Pretty much you need to be running around naked. And there doesn't seem to be any difference in stamina recovery, animation, the distance. Iframes might be longer, like immunity frames. I'm not sure. I would suggest staying in the medium range mode. But it also increases your stamina, which is you need stamina to cast spells, you need stamina to sprint. But as always, there's soft caps. What do you want to get to? Back to the spreadsheet. So endurance is a little wonky. Stay with me here. For every point of endurance, you're going to be alternating between 1 and 2. Here is starting at level 10. This is a stamina difference right here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is going to go all the way down to level 18, where you're going to hit a soft cap. So the first soft cap for endurance is 18 and alternates between 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. Yes. And that persists all the way up to level 32, which you'll hit your next soft cap, and it'll just go back to alternating between 1 and 2s again, all the way down to level 50, which past that, you only get 1 stamina per 3 levels. Not worth going past that in general. For equipment load, it kind of just stays within the 1 to 1.6 range, starting to drop off at level 26, which it ramps back up all the way down until you get up to 60, in which it also has a harsh drop off. I would not suggest going past 50 for endurance, unless you want to be dual wielding giant colossal weapons while also having a great shield as your backup. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth it. And again, you can have some talismans to be able to supplement for that. Me being a spellcaster, I found myself around 25 to 30, and it feels good, man. I mean, you can work with it. But if you are a melee character wearing heavy stuff, you can give yourself a little bit more, but don't go past 50.
Está prestes a encarar o Enem este ano? Ou já está focado em sair na frente na prova do ano que...
Lastly, we have strength, dex, intelligence, faith, and arcane. I like to look at these last 5 as kind of a damage scaling / attribute gateway for wearing certain equipment. I look at about 12 strength to wear all of my equipment. So if you're a spellcaster and you just want to put the minimum amount of strength required to wear the majority of gear, personally, I have found 12 strength to be a good number. I can wear pretty much anything I want. Moonveil Katana, requiring 12 strength. Medium shields, there's some great ones with 100% physical block. 12 strength is enough. And this kind of goes along with dex too. Like, I like to use the Moonveil Katana, so I like to go up to 18 dex to wear that. I don't use anything that requires faith. I don't use anything that requires arcane, and I use stabs that increase my damage depending on how much intelligence I have. So I want to bump that up as much as possible. But how much is too much? Maybe I want to drop down my endurance a little bit and then just scale my intelligence all the way up to 99. I'm a spellcaster. I like intelligence. This is great, right? This is the best thing I could be doing right now. 99 int. That is not a good thing for you to be doing. And I'm kind of going to encompass this into all of these stats right here. The first thing you want to do is put enough stats into either strength, dex, intelligence, faith, or arcane to wear the gear that you want to wear. Now, we need to figure out, how are you damage scaling? Well, if you want to smash, you're going to be looking for strength. If you want to fast katanas, swords, you want to bleed, you're probably looking at dex. You want to spellcast, you're looking at int, faith, or arcane. And by the way, I keep talking about damage scaling and what weapons you're using. Under each weapon, you're going to see a list that shows all of the stats being either strength, dex, int, faith, or arcane, with a letter next to it, or a dash. A dash means it doesn't scale at all. An S means it scales incredibly well. So for example, my staff scales S with int. That means I want as much int as possible, for the most part, so it increases the damage. Whereas if I have a strength weapon and I'm a melee character, you can see that the strength scaling is S with this. That means I want as much strength as possible, for the most part. And there's ones out there for dex, faith, and arcane. Now you understand the whole scaling option. The question is, once you put in all your stats to wear all the gear that you want, how much do you want to put into whatever stat you're doing to pump up your damage? And the answer is pretty much 80 across the board. To get more technical, there's a soft cap at level 20. There is a soft cap at level 80. There's a soft cap at 90. And of course, you have your hard cap at 99. Now, I've tested this with my staff, which scales off of S with int. And I made another save state where I tested out with strength using a two-handed weapon and smashing the crap out of people. That also scales with strength with S. And personally, I have found 80 to be the soft cap that you worry about the most. That's when you start hitting the big diminishing returns. Past 90, even worse. But each weapon is different, because if it scales off of like an A value, then it might be a little bit less on the soft cap. It's kind of hard to say. But if you just want to know a general thing about strength, dex, int, faith, and arcane, to sum up, you want to put the amount of stats in to wear your crap, and then you want to take your main scaling damage attribute and take it to 80. So after finagling around with the numbers a little bit, as a level 140 astrologer that primarily uses spellcasting / the Moonveil Katana because it's busted, this is what my stats would look like. 40 vigor, 30 mind, 28 endurance, 12 strength, 18 dex, 75 int, 7 faith, and 9